Hey everyone, it's the Mattowarrior's Metal Madness podcast. Mattowarrior's Metal. Why did I put the I don't know. What the hell? A couple days late because I've been doing this for Friday or Saturdays each week, so I don't know if continue that or what. But sometimes, I don't know if I'm going to be doing it every week or every 2 weeks or whatever, but I've been doing it every week because I always have a subject to talk about. And I have a couple today, too, of course. But let's get to the news first. Just gonna check Blabbermouth again. Let's see what's going on today in the metal world, or rock world, or whatever the hell you want to call it. Let's go to the front page here so as soon as it loads here. So, Dee Snider defends Great White over deadly concert fire. They would never, ever intentionally hurt any of their fans. Well, I know there's been a lot of jokes about that over the years. You know, I even did like a parody song of their famous Mattowarrior cover. I won't sing it on here, but you know, it was kind of terrible, but you know, it is what it is. I'm going to lower this microphone a little bit. It's getting a little out of control here, I think. Still haven't perfected my audio levels yet, by the way. If anybody hears this and has anything to complain about my audio levels, I'm all ears, by the way. So, yeah, I don't know. I saw Great White live, by the way, back in 1990, fall of 1990, I believe. It was a great show, and I'll tell you why. It was because Badlands were going to play, and they pulled out. I was, interested in hearing Badlands. I think I'd heard like Dreams in the Dark or whatever, because Ozzy's connection, the Ozzy connection with Jake E. Lee and stuff. And I liked some of those songs. If I'm breathing really heavily, it's just I just got done with a workout. So, so I went with some friends of a relative to this, not that said relative, to this concert. And Great White were the headliners, and Badlands were supposed to open along with Tesla. Now, Tesla had more time to play because Badlands pulled out. And pardon the expression, but they just melted the stage. They were incredible live. And it saddens me that years later I finally get into Tesla, but I've always liked them. I just never kind of delved into them until recently. But they were like, at the time I think they were like it's almost like Iron Maiden. Like it's just that level of energy, like early mid 80s Iron Maiden. That's how much energy they had. I know they're not metal, but anyways, that was my anecdote about that. I don't really care about Great White. They had a few good songs, but whatever. So let's go to the next headline. Former Hanoi Rocks guitarist Nasty Suicide is battling prostate cancer. Well, that's sad. They're Swedish, right? Former Exodus guitarist Rick Hunolt launches new band Die Humane. Okay. Body Count begins recording new album. Cool. Merciless. They've been on a roll. Even though I don't really like a lot of their albums, I still think it's pretty cool that they keep doing albums and they just keep pumping them out. It's kind of awesome. So I saw them live. I actually met Ice-T as well. So, and the rest of the band. Ernie C was nice, but Ice-T was kind of cold, pun unintended. He signed all my stuff. It's up on my wall actually right now. Little Body Count signatures. I didn't frame it, but yeah, I had Enslaved too. I met them. They were really nice. I think, what else? I met Judas Priest, but I've lost that concert ticket somewhere years ago. It's kind of sad. My friend still has his because he went with me, but Alice Cooper answers questions, blah, 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 Monster Rock Cruise, okay. Watch Dave Mustaine, yeah, whatever. I'm just, stuff that's like, whatever. I'm not saying whatever. I'm just saying whatever, like, it's not a big deal. Like, I want stuff that's, like, a little more controversial. Phil Anselmo looks back on Pantera's Mouth for War. I wrote the main riff, man, and I fucked your girlfriend last night right before that, too. No, he says he wrote the main riff. I'm not going to read this because I'm just like, okay, I'm sick of these guys. All right, so bands are usually a collaborative process, especially bands like Pantera. It's possible he did. It's possible. You know? I don't know. I'm not going to deny it. It's not like Dave Mustaine saying he hummed every guitar solo on some of the Megadeth albums and had the guy play it. Or Glenn Danzig's, all songs written by Glenn Danzig. I know it's possible. Whatever. That's actually a really interesting. It's actually interesting. That's a first interesting headline. Sorry to say. And cancer sucks, and Great White. What happened was terrible and stuff. But I'm just saying that to me, it's just the most interesting so far because otherwise it's just kind of mundane. I'm not to God, I sound terrible by saying that. It's just the most interesting to me. I don't know. Sorry, not sorry. I don't want. I sound terrible now. No, I mean the other stuff just like bands that I don't really follow that much too. Pantera is just always a bone of contention with many people, and it's just more interesting in a way, like to talk about the controversy. I don't know. Richie, speaking of controversy, Richie Faulkner says 10 years of weirdness between KK Downing and Judas Priest has been a bit unnecessary. So he's kind of saying a lot of stuff in the press about KK Downing, like, oh, well, this is weird. It's like, well, who knows, man? Maybe he's going to be bring the is the term olive branch to the band. Pantera, Vinnie Paul, collection of, I don't care about Facebook videos. Hailstorms, Lizzie Hale, whatever. I'm not going to talk about that one. I'm just not going to talk about that one because it's ridiculous. I'm not going to talk about it. And I don't care about Hailstorm anyways. Watch Jeff Tate sing Queen of the Reich. I watched this actually. And it wasn't bad. It wasn't tuned super low. It was actually just tuned, I think, E flat for those musicians out there. And I thought he hated the song too, but it's cool that he's singing that stuff. And another thing is that I just think Jeff Tate needs to do something else, just like what do I mean? I mean he needs to do something big again, because I think he's kind of gained respect to me. To me, he's gained more credibility and respect the past couple of years because he was really, really suffering 10, 11, 12 years ago. It's just something seemed off about him. But now he seems nicer too in person. Like if you watch interviews with him, he's just his ego is dissipated somewhat. Maybe not totally, but and he's been doing all these projects like Avantasia and what was the other one, these metal projects and stuff. And he sounds really good with a good producer, So I just think, he deserves more. The metal world needs him to do some epic stuff again. That's just my opinion. Even though, some of his solo stuff's okay, but Obituary is done, but won't be released until Europe opens up. I'm not going to go there, okay? You can watch my YouTube for my takes on all that stuff anyways, and I'm not going to talk about it on this podcast, but I'm trying not to, at least. If it comes up with a guest, I'll talk about it, of course, and try to be more neutral or something. It's like Joe Rogan. No, I'm just kidding. kidding. Kicks guitarist Ronnie Youngkins opens up about his battle with alcoholism. I'm just glad to be alive. You're quiet, right? Don't care. Sorry. It's not, I don't know, it sounds bad. DSI, new guitars, that's cool. I don't know. Kitty, and whatever. Another person with prostate cancer. Man, damn, that's bad. Y&T frontman Dave Menketti. I haven't actually gotten into them. I've been recommended them over the years, though. So I might have to check them out now. Korn's Monkey. We care about how we're going to be remembered. Well, as bad as it sounds, and I'm not trying to be a dick, but I am. I will never remember that period fondly of new metal and you with the Umulot metal, alternative metal, whatever you want to call it. I just never will, because it was bad. It was a bad period for metal, in my opinion. And like the collateral, there's collateral damage from Nirvana that killed metal, and there was collateral benefit from new metal. The winds of change, not wings. It's referencing one of my songs or something. The winds of change of the new metal thing did bring up those other ships, right? Like traditional metal and all that stuff. And the black metal thing helped to some extent too, which I love black metal. Watch Bruce Dickinson sing a cappella version of Stranger in a Strange Land at a spoken word. Okay, I'm just going to say this. What the hell is wrong with Iron Maiden not playing some of these songs live? He does these a cappella versions, and they never play them live. They just play a lot of the same songs. Play Stranger in a Strange Land again. I will go just for that song. I would go even if they played their whole new album along with I would go to see Iron Maiden play live if they played Weekend Warrior on 20 times in a row the whole show and then pulled out Stranger in a Strange Land as an encore. I would pay tickets for that. I've been waiting to see that. Queensryche guitarist Mike Stone has returned to the band. It's been going great. Yeah, actually, the irony is I think he was on that album, that live album they did. It was live at the Moore Theater. It's kind of funny because Pamela Moore. But they did Operation Mindcrime 1 and 2. It's the only, if that would have been Operation Mindcrime 2, it would have been a lot better received because the live performance just killed the studio album. Just killed it. It sounded like a band. Operation Mindcrime 2 was a disaster, but the live performance I still like. Of that, at least. Former Fozzy, don't even know. Tobias Forge, he's a dictator, control freak. I only like the first album. Black Swan, another Frontiers band. Downset, I remember them. These proto new metal kids from high school liked Downset. It's like proto new metal because they had rap and hardcore and stuff in them. And like I just said, I liked Body Count, but it's yeah. I'm willing to bet they're better than most of the new metal bands, though. They're not new metal, but they're kind of those proto ones. Behemoth. Yeah, I listened to this. Here, Behemoth, Nirgal, guest on song from Trivia frontman, Ibaraki Project. So this is what I think about this song. I liked some of it. I have a problem with the vocals. The vocals really kill the song to me. I think we need to retire that metalcore scream that's been around for a long time now. There's something different, and I can't even analyze it really or quantify why I think this is so different. But when I listen to those the metalcore screams versus like death metal or black metal, other than maybe Varg Vikernes comes closest to that kind of obnoxious wailing. Now, that said, I like Burzum now, but I'm going to get canceled. No, I'm just kidding. So, I'm already canceled. But anyways, I think it's a lost opportunity. I don't think he should have adapted that kind of vocals for this project. It just ruins the project for me, and that's just my opinion. People may hate me for that. And the thing is I like some Trivium. God forbid, people will probably not like that admission, but everything up to including Shogun. After that, I just lost interest. I just, something happened after that. He's got really commercial to me. It just got to be like radio rock, sort of, but with a few more shred solos or something. Drain STH, I remember them. Former Drain STH drummer, blah, 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 new video. Yeah, wasn't that one of the chicks married to Tony Iommi for a while? Ignite, I don't even remember them. I think there's some hardcore. Glenn Tipton, don't care. I love Judas Priest, but I just don't care about that headline. It's just not worth mentioning. Apocalyptica, Joe Satriani, Scorpions. Okay, it's just when I bring up these headlines, it's something. If I have something to say, if I don't, I say I don't care. If I don't have anything to say, I'll just start saying I don't have anything to say because it's kind of harsh to say I don't care. I'm so edgy. Scorpions share a new song, "Shining of Your Soul." It sounds like a ballad. I actually liked Peacemaker. I thought Claus Mine, whatever, however you pronounce it, Mine. I thought he sounded pretty damn good. and it was the first Scorpion song. And I think Ralph Vieira, Dr. Fuck, if you know who that is, he said it was the first Scorpion song he heard, or first album that he heard, or some of the best since Blackout, or was it Love at First Sting? And I was like, yeah, you're pretty close, dude. That sounds pretty good. I might actually have to check that out. Iron Maiden Number of the Beast 40th anniversary commemorative retro cassette format release. Oh my God, this is so silly. Okay, so this whole cassette thing. So cassettes, see, I'm going to say something controversial to people, and I'm just going to say this. So controversial to people that are still like pushing the, actually it's not, is it controversial or is it not? I'm just going to say this. There was this one time that I still have one of my earliest tapes, Master of Puppets, lying around somewhere. And it's from probably 1989, when I had, my mom bought it for me at Kmart when I was 10 or 11 years old or whatever. And it was, I've owned the CD a couple of times, and I put it in a tape deck. And I was like, holy shit. It was so damn heavy. Tape is heavy as fuck. There is no denying it. I would say it, almost might rival, in some ways it might rival vinyl. But it's the same time, I mean, you don't have to have as good of a sound system for a tape. That's probably why. But it's so compressed and has this sound to it. So with this Iron Maiden, I don't know. It's kind of just this marketing ploy. I think it's kind of silly. What they would do better is doing some kind of a retrospective box set for Number of the Beast. I think that would be great. I think they should do like Metallica did a couple of years ago with the first 4 albums. And now the Black Album too, the deluxe editions. They had this. I actually own the Ride the Lightning one. I know I shouldn't pay money to Metallica. I understand that, but I bought it. It's pretty cool. And actually, they should put that as a bonus in their box set. They should just put a tape. They should have a Number of the Beast tape, and then we have a live show. The first DVD with Bruce Dickinson, and we have these bonus songs or something they never released or whatever. I don't know. I think it's Record Store. Is it Record Store Day? I don't know. It says March 25th, 2022. I don't know. I wouldn't buy that because I've owned a lot of the Iron Maiden on tape over the years anyways. Watch Anthrax, Scotty, and don't care. Or whatever. Why is it downloading shit? Okay. Here we go. Here's some controversial stuff. Ex-Motley Crue singer John Corabi blasts Pam and Tommy series. It's so full of bullshit. It's ridiculous. I don't know why anybody would watch. I love the first 2 Motley Crue albums. Okay. And I like a couple scattered songs or scattered sides of albums or whatever. And included the 1994 album, which Corabi's on. But the thing is, you have the most overrated band, not for their first 2 albums, but for everything after. I do not get it. I just do not get Dr. Feelgood, the love of Dr. Feelgood, other than the production, which obviously Metallica tried to attain afterward. I do not get the hype of Motley Crue post. In some ways post Theater of Pain, because Theater of Pain had some good songs too. I just don't understand. Or Girls, Girls, Girls had a couple of good songs. It's really bad filler too, but it's like, why do people just worship Motley Crue, and especially when they don't even have good shows anymore? Because Vince Neil is a disaster live. Disaster. It's worse than Paul Stanley. It's a disaster seeing Paul Stanley too, but I'd rather watch some of these new Swedish bands that are still like 30 or 35 years old. The members of the band, they can still sing and play just as well. There's a lot of bands like that now. Just like take them, even Steel Panther, they're in their like mid 50s or something. They're still playing really good and sing really good. But Motley Crue is a disaster. And they've been a disaster for a long time. I don't get all the marketing. I don't get it. I just don't get the hype. And speaking as a person that worships the first 2 albums, those are some of my favorite, like, quote unquote, hair metal or glam metal of all time. Fucking fantastic music. But after that, I think I think they would be deserving of the hype if they gave up after those two albums. I'm sorry, that's just my opinion. I just don't get the hype. Now, compared to a lot of the hair metal band, quote unquote hair metal bands out there, obviously they're top notch compared to like the Poison. Sorry, I'm offending people, but Poison. This is just my opinion. Poisons or some of those bands are just terrible. And of course, like the most mediocre Motley Crue album is miles above that. But anyways, Megadeth and Lamb of God announced rescheduled Canadian shows. Okay, well. Interesting. I don't know. I'm not going to say. Troops of Doom, Sepultura. Okay. That's kind of cool. Spirit Box. Never heard of them. Rudy Shanker. There was one. I'm going to go through this and see. There was one story that I wanted to talk about, and I can't remember. Okay. Dave Grohl. Oh, God. I just don't. Dave Grohl is total cringe to me. It's a long story. I don't know. I'm not a big fan of Dave Grohl. I mean, first of all, you're going back to, go back to the Probot project, which it was okay, but just the whole thing, just the gall of these guys to come, guys to come forward. It's like, I always liked metal. I always liked metal. Yeah, sure you did. When Kurt Cobain was making fun of metal on, MTV or all these people, oh yeah, sure you did. You were just a closet. You were just had it under your bed. All the metal records that you hid it from your way too hip girlfriend or whatever the fuck that you snorted heroin with every night or whatever. I don't know. Just being an asshole. Motley Crue and Def Leppard had 5 shows at the stadium tour. Oh, count me in, man. That sounds great. No way. Absolutely not. I'd rather see like Heat or Crash Diet or. What's that other band? It's got into Crazy Licks, like play a stadium, and that would be far more entertaining and more interesting than anything with Motley Crue and Def Leppard. They're just too. It's just too much time has passed. Even Iron Maiden they're starting to show some cracks. I'm sorry, like these bands, like even Whitesnake, like he has the humility to have a singer come out and help with shows. Dave Coverdale. I think that's cool. Manila Road did that too. I think that's the next trend, by the way. And I said that before. But some of these bands should just not be touring. And Def Leppard might be okay live. I don't know. Motley Crue would be if Vince Neil got his shit together more. Because he doesn't sound that like his pitch isn't, or it's not his pitch, but his range is still there to some extent. But like Def Leppard, after the first 2 or 3 albums anyways, I'm mixed on him. Hysteria is kind of a guilty pleasure. I'm talking way too fast. Thunder announces new album, never heard them. Animals as Leaders, they're cool. Sabaton, yeah. Amon Amarth, that might be kind of cool. Ted Nugent calls Howard Stern a jackass who doesn't respect alternative points of view. Well, I think both of them, neither one of them respect different points of view, to be honest. I don't think they're, it's a bunch of bullshit. It's so stupid. These culture wars are so dumb. That said, Ted Nugent is a great guitarist. Amboy Dukes, I want to check out more of their stuff. Some of their stuff, I watched, what was that YouTube channel? The guy, Sea of Tranquility, the guy that hosts that channel. He talked about all his Amboy Dukes albums, and it was just like, what the hell was that? Like some kind of weird prog, like hard rock band from the early 70s. I've heard of Amboy Dukes. I have the Nuggets compilation when they were like a garage psych band, but it sounds like they went into some really weird territory. So I definitely want to hear some of that. And I do like some of his music. Sorry. Watch Michael Anthony sing David Lee Roth era Van Halen classics, of course, because he can sing. And so can Sammy Hagar, too. I know people hate Sammy Hagar, whatever. He is a dork. He's kind of the rock's biggest dork. That's what I would call him. But I do like him. Metallica, 8th Annual Metallica Night with San Francisco Giants. Well, I won't go into that here. I don't want to talk about San Francisco right now. Perfect Circles, Billy Howardell, whatever. / I'm just going through a lot of this. Trying to find something interesting. Cheap Trick, yeah. Uh, a little story about that, but I won't tell it on this podcast. Material, Journey, Buck Cherry, Trying Pool. I'm going to look at other sites too. Here's what I got to say. Exhorter has another guitarist leave. God damn, Exhorter is the most one of the most underrated bands out there. Why can't they get their shit together with the original guitarist or guitarists? I think that last album was pretty damn good. I think they need to move on to a better way. To me, Chris Poland talks about Dave Mustaine again. That's pretty funny. Well, yeah, okay. Chris Poland is a great guitarist. I'm not going to talk about Eddie Vedder because I'm sick of Eddie Vedder. Wasp, might go see that. Eddie Vedder and Bruce Springsteen, will fuck them both. Even though I like it, this is a weird comment, but like I've like, how do I put this? I've dated some women that like Bruce Springsteen. It's kind of like pleasant memories listening to it with them, honestly. It sounds really weird, especially like the more obscure like 70s stuff, like really mid 70s stuff. This is kind of cool. Just wanted to have that. Aaron Lewis. Oh, yeah. I won't go over that, but not a fan. I'll just say I'm not a fan. I think it's hilarious. Some of it's hilarious. I think these guys that like pose as Southerners that are from like Michigan or Massachusetts are just so hilarious. I just they make me laugh so much. As ironic in an ironic way. I don't like him, and I don't like Kid Rock, doing this Southern thing like you're from the South and you're fucking from the most northern like part of Michigan or whatever. It's so stupid. So dumb. I just think it's dumb. And it's dumb. That's all I gotta say. Mon and Martha, might have to listen to that. Oh, this is the one. Okay. This is the headline I wanted to talk about. Why 1980s was a better decade for heavy metal than the 90s. Mike Portnoy. All right, so this is the problem with this story. And I have a big problem with this story. This is where I'm going to cut off the news, by the way. This is already going back to the 14th of February. So, recent cameo video. A lot of these news articles are cameo videos. It's hilarious. Well, for metal, I would have to say the 80s because the 90s started to go downhill. And I know I just did a whole podcast about that. But the 90s was Pantera, Sepultura, Machine Head. Those are the only new bands really doing metal. Yeah. So this quote, maybe I'm taking it out of context. I don't know. So this is bullshit because, for one, the 90s were one of the best decades for metal ever. Just not in America. I mean, you had, even there you had like Symphony X and the namesake band of Mike Portnoy doing music. And how many bands could I fucking mention over the course of this conversation? I'll just look at, I could say Ed Guy, Blind Guardian, Gamma Ray, Entombed, Hypocrisy, Emperor, Mayhem, Dark Throne, Burzum, Limbic Art. I'm just looking to look at my CD collection right now. I'll tell you, I'm here in Iced Earth, let's see, Camelot, King Diamond. Did a lot of good albums in the 90s, in my opinion. I know a lot of people hate 90s. Jack Panzer did too. I'm just looking at these albums. Opeth, Nocturnal Rites. Some of these bands started in the 80s too, but some of them started in the 90s too. Covenant, the black metal one. I'm just looking at all my CDs here. Dark Tranquillity. Deicide, for fuck's sake. Their first album's 90. Spiral Architect, I think that came out in 99 or something. I think it did. Immortal, Rhapsody of Fire, call it Rhapsody of Fire now, but whatever. Pain of Salvation. Is he just like, Sonata Arctica. I just don't, I don't get it. I don't get why he said this comment, because I guess you mean like, it just doesn't make sense. Maybe he means like not a subgenre of metal or something like power metal or pure metal, but I don't really that's all groove metal. That's a subgenre of metal. It's one of the dumbest things I've ever heard in my life. And Mike Portnoy has a lot of hot takes. Sometimes I really like them. And that's the funny thing. But that is not one of the good takes. I don't get it. Carcass, for fuck's sake. Most of their albums are from the 90s. I'm just looking at my record, my CD collection is full of 90s metal. Even Amon Amarth started in the 90s. I already mentioned King Diamond. I'm just looking at Angra, Amorphous. I could literally name 100 bands that defy that comment. It's so stupid. It's so dumb. Man, that was a dumb fucking comment. What the hell happened? I thought the guy, he took out Unexpect and liked Opeth and stuff. Didn't he know like those bands, or at least I don't know about Unexpect, but I know Opeth were from the 90s. I bought their fucking album. This is a funny story. I liked Opeth's first two albums so much in 1998 that I went to a t-shirt shop and got the album cover of Morning Rise made into a shirt. Now, it turned pink in the wash. I don't know what happened, but I was really bad at washing clothes back then. I think I was still living at home, actually. So it was, I mean, what the hell is wrong? It's so stupid. It's such a dumb, just the way and even Voivod did some good material in the 90s too. Let's see. There's tons of bands. I can go on and on. Iron Savior, great band. Cryptopsy, for fuck's sake. Martyr did some albums. I think their first albums are from the 90s. Morbid Angel. Riot had some like power metal albums in the 90s. I'm just looking at all my CDs. It's just like, it's so, and Death. Don't forget, Death did some of their peak proggy material. Children of Bodom. Cathedral. Paradise Lost. Anathema. Fuck. That comment is just so dumb. And maybe we're taking it out of context, but and I don't know if we are. It's so stupid. It doesn't make any sense. I'm sorry, Mike Portnoy. I love you as a drummer, and when I met you, you're a hilarious, awesome guy. I have a story about that too, but I won't tell it on this podcast, or this episode. But yeah, no, it's stupid. It's dumb. It's a dumb comment. It makes no sense. It doesn't make sense. That's the problem. It doesn't make sense because there are so many bands doing metal. Those are the only bands playing. Maybe in America, they're the only bands that were popular. And White Zombie, he doesn't even mention like White Zombie or like yes, I don't know. It's dumb. It's a dumb comment. So I'm done with the news. I'm going to go into this subject that, David Treman again. So I'm going to look up this album because this is what this episode is going to be about. And this is a controversial album that I wanted to go over because I owned the deluxe edition in my box sets over the other side of the room. And I bought it when it came out. I wasn't sure what to think because it definitely sounded very Spinal Tap, okay? And it was very cheesy because I used to read, so this is what I used to do. As a kid, I thought that the end of the world was coming. I was like kind of a New Age Christian. I would consider myself like non-theistic Christian, sort of. I read the quatrains of Nostradamus. I truly believed that the Antichrist was coming and all this stuff. That's kind of why I went the opposite direction later on. It's a long story about that. But so I bought this album, Nostradamus, from Judas Priest. There was a lot of controversy. The hype was mixed. It was weird. It was like, what? It sounded like the end. What is that stupid Rockstar movie? Didn't the singer do like a ballet or some shit in that movie or something? It's just it sounded like a rock, they were going to do a rock opera. It's one of those things. And it came out, and I guess it was one of the managers that gave the idea to the band. It was just like, yeah, it sounds really calculated and stupid. I was going to put that way. And I don't know. Maybe Rob Halford said, hey, that's a great idea. I'll write lyrics to it, I hate those calculated decisions bands make from managers or producers a lot of the time. And I know that's a lot of the music I listen to and everybody listens to is some calculated commercial thing, regardless of what you think about this like sort of populist way of many bands do things, like Iron Maiden, for example. A lot of the shit's actually just corporatized calculation that seems like it's less commercial and more about, oh, we're doing it for the fans or musical integrity. No, it's bullshit a lot of the time. That myth is out there. So this is what I thought about Nostradamus. So I did listen to the first disc when I got it home, and I thought it was okay. I read the reviews that bashed it, and it kind of influenced not my decision, but I was like, it's a little too much. So then I decided I was going to listen to it on a trip to Chicago to see some relatives. So I took it in the car, and it's like 3.5 hours away. I listened to the whole thing. On the way there, and on the way back. And I was blown away. And this was like 8 months after I bought the damn album. I was like, this is just really good stuff. And I would postulate that it's the best album they've done since Painkiller. Even better than Firepower. And Firepower had better production. There's no doubt about that. But I love Nostradamus. So I'm going to go through, I'm just reading this. And it was a botched like concept of like this theatrical thing they were going to do with an orchestra and all this shit. They never did it. And, and I think Rob Halford's come out and said, he's proud of the album, he said, and he thinks one day it will be recognized as a classic, and he hopes one day that they will play the whole thing. So, what is this? Okay, I'm going to read this weird Wikipedia entry about it. Oh, AllMusic said that the album represent epic metal of the sort previously produced by Iron Maiden on Summon, 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 Son. Album with Spinal Tap cliches such as melodramatic spoken interludes. So greater emphasis on synthesizers, but not in the unsatisfying manner of the 1986 Turbo. I like Turbo, but that's another story for another time. So this is a 2-album, this is the thing. The new Iron Maiden, the last 2 Iron Maiden albums are both double albums, but I think for bang for the buck, I think Nostradamus is better than the last 2 Maiden albums combined. That is a controversial statement. This is just my opinion. I do like a lot of the past 2 Iron Maiden albums. Dawn of Creation. So I'm just going to go through the album as far as I remember. I didn't take notes or anything, so I can't remember everything about it. I haven't listened to the second part of it for a long time, or disc 2. Prophecy, I Am Nostradamus, the vocals, it's cheesy, but the riff is so killer. And it's catchy. Awakening, Revelations, it's because of Rob Halford's vocals that really carry the album and make it really intense at times. So, and there's War, which is kind of like this tribal kind of sounding song, which is really cool. Pestilence and Plague, just the hooks and the vocals, but nothing beats the song Death. That's number 9. To me, that's one of the peaks of the album, because it's like, holy shit, it's like full on sort of doom metal, and just the vocals, just intense, So, and then there's Conquest, Lost. There's a lot of ballads on it, but we're not talking about Last Rose of the Summer, And then Solitude, Exiled, which is pretty cool. Alone, that's a cool song. I really liked that. Visions. You see, it tapers down a little bit at the second half of the second disc, and then you have like the song, the title track is kind of Painkiller-ish. It's okay. Future of Mankind. Do I remember what that sounds like? Oh, that's the only one I don't remember. I probably should listen to it. It's weird. I don't listen to it that often. I usually listen to the first disc more, I'll be honest. But the thing is that I think people misunderstand, or not that they misunderstood, but I think what happened is that you have 2 different types of Priest fans. I almost said Maiden. You have the Priest fans that are more like Maiden fans, or like more power metal kind of fans, that will listen to like Rhapsody of Fire, Blind Guardian, or the double albums of Symphony X or whatever. And then you have the like more casual, I call them casual people that like, oh man, Living After Midnight, yeah, I play it with my cover band every night. I live in Watoma, Wisconsin, man. We play Living After Midnight. Oh yeah, that kind of a fan, making fun of people. I know, but it's fine. They're the middle aged and up. They're fans of Priest, but they'll listen to. Okay, I'm just gonna sound really insulting, and don't take this the wrong way, people that are listening to this. The newest metal, they think like the European metal, the best European metal band they've heard is Volbeat, because they haven't heard anything else, because they listen to like this solid rock radio and all that shit. This is one type of fan, and then you have the other type of fan that's really deeply into metal, like power metal and prog metal and stuff. So those two fans, it was probably those two types of fans. The album was probably just too like cheesy in a certain way and like overdone, like people that are more meticulous about their epic metal, the Iron Maiden type of fan, power metal type of fan. And then way too over, not too overdone, I wouldn't say, but just like didn't equal like some of the albums that they liked. Like Virgin Steel is another example, like just these bands that do these epic double albums, And for those fans, they probably didn't think it was grandiose enough in a way. I don't know. This is just like my speculation, but it wasn't done well enough or something, or didn't flow enough, or maybe it was too raw. Maybe it was too much like Judas Priest, like too conservative in a way. But then the other side, oh yeah, that synthesizer shit, man. So you have this. It didn't appeal to either fan in many ways, but the thing is I think either camp didn't give it enough of a chance to grow. And I don't know if that's why people didn't like it. It's hard to say. It's cheesy as hell. But I listened to like Mattowarrior after 1984 and a lot of stuff like that. I mean, I don't care if it's a little cheesy or over the top. That's the thing. So I think a lot of people thought it could have been more serious in a way, but less, just I don't know. They think it's boring or whatever. I don't know. I think the marketing of Judas Priest in general is not towards a lot of those power metal people, unless you're talking about Painkiller. So a lot of those people probably didn't even hear it or just dismissed it a lot of the time. So they never sat down and listened to it on headphones or in a car, over a 3 or 4 hour trip. And then, they never got into it because they just listened to a couple tracks and just like, oh, that's boring. That's probably both camps probably did that, now that I think about it. But really, it's a great album. It's great. And I think Rob Halford's performance is what really brings it up a notch, because he did such a good job at the vocals and just the melodies and stuff. And just there's some real gems on it. And some parts are boring. I think people don't understand, because Judas Priest started out first for Rock-a-Rolla, Sad Wings of Destiny, Stained Class, or Sin After Sin, Stained Class. The first 4 albums are epic metal. They're not the same as Living After Midnight or Another Thing Coming and all that. They're basically, I wouldn't call them progressive, but they're definitely epic metal. Compared to the '80s stuff. So that didn't, that type of metal. I see Nostradamus as a return to that style of metal in a certain way, but it's just an updated version of it. Very, just like, and the operatic parts are just awesome. Because my brother used to say, I don't know where this rumor got started, but like Pavarotti allegedly said Rob Halford is the best rock singer he's heard and wants to do a collaboration. I don't know if this is a rumor. I don't know if it's bullshit or not. Well, like, there are parts that are very operatic on Nostradamus. And to me, this still was Rob Halford's period where he wasn't as, he had lost some of his range up until recently, some recent tours. So this was still that period. So there's a little strain on some of the songs, but he sounds absolutely excellent. Pestilence and Plague, Revelations, just some of these songs are awesome. And I think maybe what the power metal people thought it was just like, it's just a cheesy concept. Oh my God, Nostradamus, come on. But it's awesome. It's about this guy's life and stuff. And maybe it doesn't like take you into his life as much, but on his musical merits alone, it's excellent. And some of the songs are just so good. And I love the ballads too. I mean, some of my favorite songs by Judas Priest are ballads, like Here Come the Tears. And I think maybe Priest were too old of a band to appeal to some of those fans because they just didn't like. I don't know. It's just hard to say. There's a lot of different factors going into why Nostradamus failed to gain a mass audience. But to me, it's the most underrated Judas Priest album. Period. I think it's great. I think it's the best thing they've done since Painkiller. It's so controversial. It's the truth. That's just how I feel. Firepower is too safe, and so is what was that one before? Which I didn't even buy a physical copy of. I think I bought it from iTunes. I did support the band, even though but I didn't like either. I didn't like either one as much as Nostradamus. I like the newest one, Firepower, is pretty good, but I don't think it has the depth of Nostradamus. But my favorite Priest is the 70s Priest. So, of course, and it doesn't sound like 70s Priest. It sounds like sort of in between 80s and 90s, early 90s Priest. I mean, it sounds like the previous album, Angel Retribution, like sound-wise, but it's just the compositions are so intense and stuff. And I think, like the power metal crowd that likes those kinds of albums, I think they just didn't give it a chance. Because I think they thought, oh, Judas Priest is jumping on this bandwagon. Oh, my God, what's next? Iron Maiden will do a concept album? That's a joke, of course. Yeah, but, it's like, or double album. Actually, they didn't do a double album until, what was that album? Oh, shit, Book of Souls, that's right. So, but yeah, I mean, it's just like, it's silly to abandon this album. And it took a while to grow on me, to be fair, So I guess I'm open-minded enough to just like not read the criticisms people are giving it, or critics are always full of shit to some extent. And a lot of it's payola too. They get paid. Some of these really good reviews you read are definitely influenced by money from the record company or whatever. And some of them are from Fiverr, because I've done that. I used to actually do Fiverr reviews for people. Like a band would want to do a review. I usually gave it a fair review. Like, people pay for reviews. They do. It's the truth. And if there's like a record company that's like associated with a magazine, they're probably going to lean towards, even if they're not influenced directly, lean towards giving a good review. So I think Nostradamus is absolutely excellent. It is long-winded. It gets a little old on the second disc, but it's amazing. The vocals and the melodies and I like the instrumental parts. I like the spoken word could be better. It's not like Mattowarrior's Gods of War though. With trying to, I mean or like, what's that one from Rhapsody? I still call him Rhapsody because when I bought the album in 1998, it was called Rhapsody. So the unicorns. Come to, or some kind of weird spoken word on one of the early Rhapsody albums that makes me laugh. It's not like that, but it's an album, and I think maybe the concept was cheesy. I think there's some other prog metal band that did a Nostradamus album before, and I can't remember what it was, but it's like the concept could have been better. Okay, Nostradamus. I mean, regardless of where you believe his stuff or not, I mean, it's like, I don't know. It's an interesting guy to talk about, I guess, but it's just like, it's just so overdone, the Nostradamus thing over the years. So it was kind of a cheesy choice, but overall, I like it. I think it's a good album, and I think people should give it a chance. Give it a chance, please, people. Listen to Nostradamus, and maybe just like drink some wine. Light a candle and drink a little wine or a joint or whatever people, or vape, whatever the young people do nowadays, and listen to Nostradamus, in bed on headphones. You'll be blown away. I guarantee it. I think people just didn't give it a chance and actually listen to it. They just thought, oh God, this is so silly. But yeah, I mean, it's just like a lot of the criticism was like, we want I keep saying Maiden, but we want, and this actually does hold true for Maiden. That's the irony. The irony is Nostradamus is something that Maiden should have done, like with regards to quality and like variance. Instead of writing these 20-minute songs that play these riffs over and over again, Priest got it right with that, with all these interludes and stuff. I think they got the epic thing right. Maiden has not got it right completely. They need to take more chances. And Priest took the biggest fucking chance they ever did in their career with Nostradamus. Let's not kid around. That's a big risk, because a lot of those fans are those types of like, yeah, man, Judas Priest. It's like, they still are, even though, there's albums like Painkiller or, Sin After Sin or Turbo or whatever. There's some weird albums out that they did. Or, Point of Entry, whatever. But that Nostradamus is just, it's intense. Like some of the vocal, like Death, that song is so good. And some of those Pestilence and Plague. What was the one that had the Latin? It's totally pretentious. And you just got to get over like the metal pretentious thing, like prog, whatever. Like, it's going to be pretentious as hell, but it's fun. It's fun. You listen to music for fun. And people just took it too. I think the wrong people took it too seriously with Nostradamus. They took it too seriously, and the wrong people didn't take it seriously enough. I don't know. I'm just trying to think of ways to try to quantify why it failed so miserably amongst the audience. But I think the production could have been better and slicker. I think that was part of it, because some of these prog metal geeks that would listen to Nostradamus probably expect, well, it has to be like immaculate production all the time, and like and you're listening to someone that's like listens to G.G. Allen and like necro black metal, and I don't really give a fuck about some of the production. And yeah, the Judas Priest Nostradamus, the production could have been just more streamlined in a way, And then you have the other people that are oh man, it's so boring, man, fuck. You have those flashers that are talking about that. But I'm serious. Like, I think Nostradamus, I hope it is remembered better. Another album like that was The X Factor by Iron Maiden. Bashed at the time. I always liked it, even though it was guilty. For a while it was guilty pleasure. So I was like, is that the same chord progression? It was a guilty pleasure for a while. I'll be honest. Like, I told people I liked it, but at the same, I listened to it all the time. So it's like, why wouldn't I like it if I listened to it all the time? It's like, if you have a girlfriend that you hang out with all the time, you say, I don't know if I really like her, but I keep hanging out with her. It's kind of dumb, isn't it? But, it's like, but I love the X Factor. It was a guilty pleasure. Now it's a cult classic, Go to Metal Archives, people talk about the X Factor. They say, it's the one Blaze album that was good. Oh, the one thing he did with the band that was good. And it is. It's really good. It's dark. It's deep, And I think hopefully Nostradamus will have that kind of acclaim one day in the future. I don't know. Who knows? I don't know. These albums, Saint Anger never got redeemed, it looks like. A lot of these albums, Cold Lake, and I don't think Nostradamus is even near those albums as far as lack of quality. But, and yeah, I might do an episode about Saint Anger and what I think about it, and people that know me know what I think about it. That's all I'm going to say. But in regards to like Cold Lake or these infamous bad albums that bands do, Music from the Elder, another example. It's like some of them are actually really damn good. I should do an episode about Music from the Elder. I will never apologize for liking that. That was an album that got into only like the last 10 years or so, because I didn't listen to Kiss for like a long time, because I was just like, man, I read these Gene Simmons interviews that really turned me off about money, and even though like I respect guys that do have a certain level of quote unquote success with the ladies, the way that Gene Simmons talked about it was just like so dumb and mechanical, and it just sounded horrible. It's just like, ugh. It's like Hugh Hefner with the coordinated moves on his bed, on his on his rotating bed. It just sounded really sleazy and dumb, and it was just like, ugh, it turned me off of Kiss for years. And this is an admission. And then just the whole reunion tour, and then the Scabs replacing Ace and Peter. Just that whole thing turned me off. But Music for the Elder, I was on this experimental phase of listening to these albums that were hated by most of the band, by the band themselves or the fans. So I listened to that, and I listened to a couple other albums. I think Cold Lake was one of them. And I just was captured by the Elder. I just loved it. I had never heard it before. So I think this is like their Music from the Elder in a way. Judas Priest, the Nostradamus album. And hopefully people will like it in the future, and they'll pull more stuff out of it. I think it's great. Maybe people thought it was misguided. Not really if you take into account the early 70s, the mid 70s Priest epic metal sound, or what they were trying to do with the lyrics and stuff back then, and just the whole mystique of early Priest, which is my favorite Priest, period. That's what I like. I love all Judas Priest except for some of the Ripper stuff, honestly. But, it's like, people should give it a shot. They should listen to that with some, like I said, a little inebriated, maybe a little bit. No, maybe not though. They just listen to it. I think it's good. It doesn't kick ass like Painkiller, and it's not like as accessible as Screaming for Vengeance or British Steel, but to me it's up there. To me, I would say it's in the top 5 possibly. Well, maybe not top 5, top 10 for sure, but not top 7 maybe. My favorite currently is Sin After Sin. It does change, it does alternate, but definitely the best since Painkiller. Definitely better than the other albums they've done since the reunion, in my opinion. That's just my opinion. So take it for what it is. I'm going to end this podcast now, and please support me. I'm going to put actually some social media stuff up pretty soon too, and try to get things going with that, and try to get an interview. I'm going to try to get an interview for maybe not the next one, but the one afterward, because I need to start doing interviews for this podcast, because I think I have something to say and people should listen. But anyways, that's about all.